Hey friends, Pastor Terry here. We are Okotoks Alliance Church. These are Thursday Thoughts, and I thought I'd walk you through the church. Here's Valerie over here. We'll just go and say hello to Valerie. She's holding down the fort there. There's Valerie, holding down the fort at our entrance. Tomorrow is Good Friday, and we're coming into Easter weekend and all that entails. Tomorrow is our Easter path. Starts at 8:30. We'll run till 11:30 in the morning, and we're just going to invite you to walk through the events of Holy Week in a reflective devotional kind of way. You can do it yourself, you can do it with your spouse, significant other, family, life group, and we would welcome that. And I'll tell you a little bit more about what's happening on Saturday and then Sunday morning in 2 time slots in a couple of moments. But the Easter path will begin here, and you'll go into the sanctuary and be guided on a tour through there. But the tour ends with food. So light refreshments, and the ladies are in here. We'll see if we can photobomb them and come on in here and say, hey ladies, thank you so much for getting food ready. We've got Judith and Jenny are there. We are, and you can see that there's a wonderful feast that's great refreshments. I better not overstate it, and we're really grateful for all that you're doing, ladies, to help us host everybody that'll join us tomorrow. Bless you.
Thank you. We look forward to seeing you.
Awesome. Yeah, they look forward to seeing you. A little introduction to the Good Friday Easter path. We come into the sanctuary here, and you'll be invited to just walk a journey that moves from Palm Sunday through his death on Good Friday, through the resurrection on Easter Sunday, and it might be an opportunity to explain to your children. It might be an opportunity for maybe you don't have kind of the story sort of in mind. How does this work? But as you can see, we've cleared out the sanctuary to create some spaces where you can linger. There's no time limit. You don't have to rush through. We've created a little bit of space with chairs, stacking them, and even some lovely devotional spots here with this little garden area, and would be very glad for you to come and sit with us, linger with us for a while around these stories. I have to remind myself, let's see if I can find a spot where I'm not too harshly backlit. I have to remind myself each year, okay, now what was the sequence of events again? I got the big parts and pieces in place, of course, but let me just kind of run you through what happened 2,000 years ago. Jesus had been, so we started Christmas, of course, with the coming of Jesus, 3.5 years of life and ministry. Jesus had been roaming the countryside, teaching, telling people the kingdom of God had come. God's reign and his rule, the king has come, or is coming, actually, was the language that we hear in the Gospels. And people would ask all kinds of questions, and some took great exception to some of his teaching. We come to the events. Eventually, he goes from Galilee down, basically following the River Jordan, down to Jericho, which is due east of Jerusalem. The Gospel of Luke tells part of this story. Matthew tells part of this story. He goes through Jericho. Maybe you've heard of the story of Zacchaeus. He's a tax collector who turns to Jesus, begins following Jesus, becomes quite an example for how Jesus changes people's lives. And then Jesus makes his way up to Jerusalem. And we say up to because it's literally an uphill climb. It's about 17 miles from Jericho to Jerusalem, and it's about a 3,000-foot climb over that 17 miles. On the way, you go through the Valley of the Shadow, a gorge that today there's a monastery down there that you can see. It goes past Bethany and then Bethpage on the Mount of Olives, and then down the Mount of Olives through the Kidron Valley and into Jerusalem. This was the journey that Jesus made. Initially, probably on Friday, he came to Bethany, where he hung out with Lazarus, who's been raised from the dead, and Mary and Martha. And then comes Palm Sunday, when Jesus made what has come to be called his triumphal entry. If you were with us this past Sunday, I said, I understand why we call it that, but there's a sense in which it's it would be better called his humble entry, because he came as a king, humble, riding on a donkey, not a mighty warrior riding on a war horse, not a king who's coming to conquer. And he had come to serve, and he has come to serve and to love you. And this was the account of Palm Sunday. And then what? Monday, we're pretty sure, would be the day that then different accounts tell us that he went into the temple and cleared the temple. It's probably a second time that he's done this, saying, my house will be a house of prayer, not a place of commerce. And but we also have then these records of him teaching. That are in this final week. John dedicates roughly 2/3 of his gospel to the final week of Jesus and the things that Jesus taught in that window of time. So he's in the temple. There's a series of confrontations where temple leaders begin to take exception to Jesus, and the tensions were already very high. Jesus had not come in the package they expected. He didn't look like the Messiah they were looking for. They claimed that he was being blasphemous, comparing himself to God, describing himself as God, using language that only God would be allowed to use. And they've been plotting for some time for his murder. And this is the week when all the parts and pieces fall into place. We're pretty sure he ends up at the Garden of Gethsemane on the Tuesday. Not clear what took place on the Wednesday, other than we know there have been multiple times he's been in the temple teaching and has been confronted by the scribes, the Pharisees, the teachers of the law. We come to Thursday. He instructs his disciples to prepare for their celebration of the Passover. This week in Jewish history was the Passover. It was the gathering of the Passover. In fact, when Jesus was coming into Jerusalem through the Kidron Valley, it's very likely that the Roman king was coming from Caesarea by the sea into Jerusalem from the north, and at virtually the same time. So it's quite this contrast that you can imagine. The city would grow by 3 or 4 times its size because pilgrims would come for the Passover celebrations. Thursday, Jesus sends his disciples to prepare. Thursday night, they enjoy the Passover meal together. That's the meal that points back to God's deliverance of the children of Israel out of Egypt from the hand of Pharaoh, through the leadership of Moses, the servant of God. The Passover meal recalled what God did there in preserving the children of Israel, the bread. And it's actually a lovely sequence of events. If you have an opportunity to experience a Passover Seder or something like Christ in the Passover, there's all kinds of beautiful symbolism to be observed there. Thursday night, the meal, maybe you recall, Judas has already put in motion his plan to betray Jesus. We don't know why. Was he trying to force Jesus' hand because he wanted to be a military king? Was he just ticked off with Jesus? Because we don't really know his motivation. There are a number of hypotheses around that, but Jesus says, go, do it quickly. And he does. He leaves. They finish the meal together, and then they go to the Garden of Gethsemane, where they've often gone before, to pray. And that's where Jesus goes apart. He prays. He invites the disciples to pray with them. Would you linger with me this hour? They fall asleep 3 times, and eventually then Judas comes with the temple guard, and they've come to arrest Jesus. That puts in motion then the kangaroo court trials that take place in the wee hours of Friday morning. Not actually a legal gathering, as best we understand the history of the way the leadership structures were supposed to work, the Sanhedrin. Delivered to the various places on Good Friday, and then ultimately to his execution. Saturday, silence as far as we know, and then Easter Sunday. I'm going to talk about that encounter, that with Jesus, a surprise. What does it mean to walk living in the Saturday, the sadness of Saturday, in the confusion, and not have stepped into the excitement and the release and the freedom of Easter Sunday. We're going to talk about that on Sunday, but we're going to go to Matthew chapter 24, verses 1 through, I think it's 1 through 31, if you'd like to read it in advance. But the Easter path here is going to tell that story and invite you to kind of walk through that story and linger on different aspects of that story, and maybe hear it for the first time. Maybe it's the 1,000th time, and it's an opportunity to revisit in a fresh way. Holy Saturday, we're going to do something we've never done before. 8 p.m. on Saturday night, we're going to do what's called a Tenebrae service, a service of shadows, where those who are willing, will gather for an experience of worship that will be solemn and quiet with candlelight as we read through some of the passages which speak of Jesus' suffering, his humility for us. And then we will leave in silence and in anticipation of Easter Sunday morning. Sunrise worship at 6:30 a.m. You're welcome to be here in person. We'll be in the lobby, or it will be online. And then our celebration resurrection service at 10 a.m. on Easter Sunday, when we will just invite the Holy Spirit to meet with us. We'll invite the Scriptures to teach us. We will invite Jesus to receive the worship that we bring to him, King of Kings, Lord of Lords, who has come for you because of his love for you. We walk through these accounts, inviting ourselves to learn afresh how much he loves us, and what an immense privilege it is to be called to follow him. And this is the invitation we would give to each and every person in our lives. So I hope you can be with us. Good Friday, tomorrow morning, 8:30 till 11:30. Come, walk the path, linger over a few refreshments. Let's visit together. Saturday evening, 8 p.m., Tenebrae service. And then Sunday morning, 6:30 a.m., and again at 10 a.m. 6:30 a.m. for worship and prayer, 10 a.m. For our resurrection celebration service. So bless you. I hope that in the midst of all of this, that you're able to gather with family, that you're able to enjoy some wonderful food, and I invite you to keep keep Jesus central to that gathering, to that, what is this about? Why are we gathering? We're gathering because we have hope. We have hope because of Jesus and all that he has done as we recount these things together. So that's where we're going this Holy Week. Next weekend, Jason Hildebrand will be with us. Jesus Stories. We're going to continue to explore these stories of how Jesus encounters us. Last week we met him on the road going down the Mount of Olives into Jerusalem, Palm Sunday. This week we're going to meet him on the road to Emmaus as he encounters Cleopas and another disciple of Jesus, and invite him to encounter us. Next week we're going to continue that journey together, inviting Jesus to meet with us. So please join us in person, online, live service. The online goes up at 9:50 on Sunday morning, and we'll be delighted to meet with you in worship. However that works out. Kids Zone is open Sunday, all that kind of stuff. I'm Pastor Terry Lee. We are Okotoks Alliance Church. These have been Thursday Thoughts. Thanks so much for joining me for it. Bless you. Bye for now.